Land use and development is to look at the area which we have and see the jetties are not only in terms of a hub, but it's become another social amenity for the various areas in which we have located them. Access and different highway access, then provision of marine and safety facilities at each of those jetties. One of the first cardinal points of our waterway transport is on safety. You should have been hearing, or if you're close to water and you've tried it, there'll be a lot of slogans on wearing your life jacket, always wear it before you get on, and take it off when you've got off. So the embarking and disembarking of passengers are one of the cardinal points of Lagos State Waterways Authority as a regulator. Next slide, please. These are some of our jetties right now under construction. The Ikorodu terminal is complete, and I hope before the end of the year it might be commissioned. This is the Ikorodu terminal. It has a car park facilities of about 300 cars. It has waiting room for buses. It has a terminal building which can take in anything from shops to other various amenities in which people will expect to see at a major hub. I call it a terminal because it's the biggest that we have, and it's I think it's about 18,000 square meters. Car park of about 200-300 cars. It has a bus park as well. Next one. This is one of the more familiar one. I like Tarzan that is here. They do a lot of crossing between Ijede and Badore East Jetty, which I tried to explain to you earlier. Then Ijede is a stop along Ikorodu. Badore East is along Ajah Badore axis. It's a very popular route for those coming from Ikorodu, like those who work in Chevron, and that axis take a lot of this. This is the one in Badore. The other one, this is Badore itself. That's from the water side, and that's the back. As you can see, there's car park facilities, and it's easy for people to go in and get out. Next one, please. This is our terminal coming up at Badore West. It's the same size as the one in Ikorodu. I think it's slightly bigger. It is for provisions for car parks as well, and a bus park, and it's under construction. Next slide, please. This is the one at Ajah in Okeranla, was built by Lagos State Rural. That road actually comes to the first roundabout. If you're going towards Badore, the first roundabout you hit. We're working on that road now to make access to that place a bit easier. And then we're looking at maybe making a car park there as well, because it's because the business has picked up in that area. For those who live around that axis, they have a lot of traffic and gridlocks in the evenings towards Ajah. So quite a lot of people like to use it these days. Next one, please. This is Ipeshe Ikorodu. As you can see, the road construction ends at the jetty. The road is being constructed now, so we should have a roundabout in front of that jetty terminal. And now we're going to extend it to where the other small Ipeshe East is. So the idea is the bus hits the roundabout to go out. So once you come out of that building, you're at the bus stop. Next one, please. This is Ijede along Ikorodu as well. That's the water coming in by water, and that's the exit to the roadside. So in all this, the provisions is being made to have water access and land access. Water in, water out, land in, land out. So it's to make it seamless. It's like a seamless integration between the two modes of transportation. Next one, please. This is now 2 terminal, which used to be our biggest terminal in Lagos till the latest, till Ikorodu, Badore started coming. This was commissioned, I think, during Governor Chakonde's era. It's under a new facelift now. It's actually situated on the other side of the Festac and Amuwo Dofi Estate. But right now, we're giving it a facelift. So it's going under a facelift. If you look at this picture shows you the expressway expansion happening all the way to Badagry and for the light rail as well. So Mile 2 is one of those hubs that will have all 3 modes of transportation. The light rail will pass it, the waterways will pass it, and ultimately the bus routes too will pass it. Next one, please. This is where I think this is, you don't know it as Jegweba, I know it as satellite. is around Satellite Town near Festa. We're changing some of the designs of our jetties now to pontoons, which is part of really a pontoon is just a platform that rises and goes high and falls with the high tide and low tide of water. Technology says that concrete jetties are going out of fashion. Two reasons: because concrete jetties do not take in the rise and fall of water. So with education and technology will follow suit. So you're going to be seeing much more pontoons going forward with taking the rise and fall of water, and then allows our canoe boats to be able to berth. So this is the one in the J.Bar terminal. Next one. This is a Butcher job, which is further up. Some call it Lasso, some call it a Butcher job because it's close to the university out there called Lasso. The same concept as the one you saw before. And this road construction was being done. I think one of them leads back to, what's that big market there? Alaba market, around there. So ultimately, we'll be able to go goods and passengers along the waterways. Next one. This is the one at Oru Shoki. This is what it looks like. It's already under use. A lot of people from Total and some other companies use it. There's movement from there to the island, Island Marina, 45 Kauri Creek. Next one, please. Now, this is our latest one we're going to work on. So Kiafa, it's right between Isolo and Ijibo. That's the waterways that leads to it. I think this is that bridge or the, you know the area well, Isolo Bridge. Now that's the proposed site for it. This is along the channel from the Mile 2. So you come in via Mile 2 and you should hit First Start before you hit this guy, because First Start has a jetty as well. And then we'll hit this guy. There's a lot of, already we have a lot of interest by the neighborhood there to have it done. That's because they have a real bad traffic situation there too. So everybody would like to escape via the waterways, which gives you an opportunity to get to the island 30-35 minutes from this end. These are some of the things we're encouraging via the waterways now. The movement of goods on the waterways. You can see these guys are moving cars from the port and it's going into the Ojo channel. So there's a lot more of this going on now along the waterways. So there are quite a few businesses springing up just because the opportunity for movement and has been provided by the government. Thank you. That's about it. That's our email address in Lagos State Waterways Authority. If there are any questions, I might try and answer them. If I have the answers, then I'll be off.
Are there a way of, is there a way which the private investor like invest or target to the opportunity?
There's always been a PPP arrangement between the state and private investors. What the state has said it will do is what it will continue to do. The state has said it will put infrastructure in place to make sure we have standard infrastructures in place. So the state dredges the waterways to make it navigable. The state is putting in these infrastructures instead of terminals, jetties, at most of the areas where we find that we have population and we need to alleviate some of the road traffic jams that we have. So it's the state that is building those jetties, the state that is dredging those things, but the state is not running the ferry service. We have no ferries. Lagos State has not bought one ferry. We have operators like Tarzan who operate from our jetties. He's here. He's one of the big ferry operators we have in Lagos State.
So you're saying now there are external people that build, okay, the state government builds jetties.
Jetties.
So I thought there's a form of a license emission initiative whereby they allow people to like buy the license and start operating, and maybe there will be a form of commission given to people giving jetties.
No. The jetties being built by the state. The jetties, some of them will be concessioned out to facilities management groups. So if you are a facilities management group and you think you can conveniently handle the running of that building and keep the building in the same way you've seen it, with investment in the state. It's an open tender bid. It's a procurement law. It's open to anyone who has interest to run it. What it has done, most of the waterways industry, I think it brings me back to employment, is what it's done, it's allowed areas that were always hard for people to get to be able to have access in and out of the city. I think quite a lot of people do not realize that the main, I'll call this mainland. Let me call it for that, for the purpose of argument's sake. There are quite a lot of islands off the mainland of Lagos that people live in. Like if you go from, I'll give you an example. The Atlantic Ocean only hits Lagos from this end. That's the Lekki axis. But never hits Badagry. But there are islands from the port all the way to Badagry that buffer us from the Atlantic. So what hits Badagry is the lagoon. So all this Ilashe, Ipeshi, Rewe, Orita Meta, all those islands along that axis. Now all those islands have people that reside there. Now until recently, it's been difficult for them to get things in and out of the island. But now with the boom in the waterways industry itself, like the place I showed you called Ojo, Ojo, and the Jomeba, they serve 26 communities from that jetty. From that jetty alone, 26 communities come daily. And some of them have to go to work. So when they get back to that main jetty, you have the smaller boats that push them out to where they're going to go home. So then you have places like Agboiketu. I think Agboiketu's population alone will scare you how many people live on the island. But now there's a lot of crossing between the mainland and the island because some of them still have to get fresh water and all that running from the mainland. So it has itself created its own social economic activity to boom in areas where it was difficult for them to go in and out. But in terms of businesses, the state, the only thing is we'll put in the infrastructure to the standard we want, we'll dredge the waterways to the depth that we're sure will make it navigable. We're going to try and light up the waterways. But in terms of running boats, the state has left it in private hands. We have about 59 odd jetties. Some operators are asking for some of those jetties. Some will be given to them as operational bases so they can do what? Maintain their boats, do services of their boats, because the boats will need, just like a car, needs to be maintained.
How can one basically be operated?
All you have to do is apply to last one, we'll show you.
And also, can one invest in buy more boats, to the money back to?
I think I'll let Mr. Tarzan speak. Yes, you can. We'll register one boat, we'll register 6, we'll register them as you come along with your boats. The only thing that we would ensure is that your boat is seaworthy. No boat plows the waterways without being inspected by the Lagos State Regulatory Inspection Team. And it's a biannual check on all those boats to make sure the boats are as seaworthy as they should be. Don't forget, we on the mainland have a lot of phobia for water. So until people fly safely enough, will they start to believe, yes, they can fly safely enough. And like I said, last year we were doing 300,000 people. As of this month, consistently we're doing 1.3 million people now. Now, will that score increase? Yes, I believe so, because we're expecting the new year to have bigger vessels within the waterways from 1 or 2 people who have shown interest in the waterways. So with the larger the vessel and capacity to carry, the more load and the more people will be carried. Yes.
So what about the safety and precautions about passengers on the boats? Are there safety vests and will it be is there not really life jacket, will they also be talked to about different safety issues?
Yes, most of the Lagos State jetties have what we call the Lagos State Water Guard. It's his job to superintend the jetty. It's his job to make sure you have that life vest on the jetty before you actually get on the boat. And they will tell you what to do on the boat, like sit, don't get up. Some of those are smaller vessels. So things like that will let you know early before you get on. One of our own issues is to make sure the boat is not overloaded, because Once the boat is overloaded, it causes to be a bit sluggish, it might lead you to capsizing. All those things we try and stop at the initial point when you get to our jetties. So yes, you will be instructed. It's mandatory that you wear your life vest. If we catch an operator who carries you without a life vest, he himself is liable. So there are safety precautions already in place, and we have patrol boats that patrol the waterways 24/7. So we would see, or we would know, at least we would know to when we have to close the waterways. Don't forget, the waterways actually have an official closing time. So all those are precautions done for your own safety. And then for a total, our longest route right now, maybe about 30-35 minutes. As you go from Lagos, well, maybe an hour if you're going to Badagry end. That might take you about an hour, but along there, on the waterways, you have Lagos State Waterways Authority, you have the Marine Police, you have the Navy, you have NIWA. So there are quite a lot of authorities that sit between you, the waterways, and your safety. So, like I said, safety is at cardinal point. We stay on it.
How can this waterways industry, how has it been able to help unemployment in direct kind of fields?
Okay.
To people that can only manipulate the water as other people.
Like I said, we have people that what? That superintend our jetties. The authority alone has, the number is increasing as we go along. But let me go to the operator's side. Operators need boat drivers. Operators need deckhands. In the areas where we're crossing now, some local indigenes of the area have brought marketplaces closer to the jetties. That's because they've seen the population that pass the jetties. So in its way, you have markets coming closer to the jetties, you have newspaper stands, you have shops now all being located around the jetties where those people had no opportunity before to do that. In the marine business now, we're going to have certification of boat drivers, deckhands, we have people who do merchant navy. Going forward now, we're moving as far as Ibejuleki to look at when the port comes up. So there's people who run barges to carry goods and services. There are some people who have, I don't know if you've noticed it on the waterways, you would know. There are car ferries on the waterways, so they carry the cars along the lagoon. We have movement now from Lagos all the way into Ekpe region. So there are people who do fishery. There's a lot of things that it has, it has helped to open those areas that we never saw as a resource. See, there's one thing for you to notice or see an opportunity, there's another point for you to take advantage of it. But you see, there are so many remote places along that axis that now are not remote. So people generally take up now, I know people that take up now for the fish day in Ekpe, just to go and buy fish. But before they didn't used to do that. Why? Because they tell you the fish is cheap in Ekpe on their fish day. So people now can get on the boat. See if you're taking a bus ride, go out there, do your shopping and get back on the boat and go home. So it has, and then it's helped those market people to get more people come to their market. So, and that has spinned off to have other people who necessarily wouldn't have had that population going through to sell their own goods of whatever innovative thing you can think of. So it has helped in a lot of ways in terms of employment.
Yes. You mentioned the marine environment. I'm also interested in the environment. So how do we control pollution?
That's a very good one. Very good one. There are various agencies on pollution, but the marine one is different. We are taking a look at that one now. That's what I was saying about the opportunities it creates. One thing I would like to say is, see, before you become world class, you have to take those baby steps first. You just don't jump from 0 to 100. You know how to go from 0 to 1, then you might see 1.5, then 2, then you might be able to jump from 2 to 10. So, like I said, the waterways itself is like a baby. It has its infancy age, it's probably crawling now. All those things you're bringing out will be done by awareness for people. We need to be more aware and much more education done to our populace that the waterways is not a dustbin, because we have a bad habit as Nigerians to dump things when you think no one is looking. Sometimes we do it even with people watching and not really care. We just dump things in the waterway. So there's a lot of education that people need to be given, or for us to be made aware that the water itself, it's a resource. The water itself helps tourism. You see, if you go various parts around the world where they're doing very well with their water, they have basically the same thing you have. They have the sunlight, they have beaches, and they have water. We have all this. It's just for us to be able to harness the resource much better and take better care of it. And water really doesn't need much taking care of, as long as we don't, use it as a dustbin. That's our problem now, we use it as a dustbin. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we have within our regulatory. How do we convince people that this is not a dustbin? How do we convince people that in those parts of the world that you like to call up, there's a recycling process that goes on, that the water that goes back has been cleaned and done something to, so it keeps it the way it's supposed to be. Not that we just go up a bridge, just yank your hat into and let the water carry it away. But it doesn't really carry it away, because it goes, and it will come back. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say kudos to you guys for what you're doing, and I say that on the strength of being a professional in regional planning and supply chain management, and you brought it and the efficiency of the Lagos State's mass transit system. It's a big difference from what is it then and now. In the days of Babaki Kiru and the Ice, so it's a difference. But one challenge I see Lagos still have in this intermodal